bi-weekly podcast that tries to take an honest look at what ails us and moves us forward into the lives we lead. Our show will be conducted with comfort, realism, and sensitivity. Humor will be injected whenever the moment calls for it, and we will do our best to be brief, to the point, and real. Anything that might be difficult for us is on the table. Further, we will strive to maintain positivity and enthusiasm during the challenges we face, because life is here and life is now. We simply owe it to ourselves and each other to try to do our best every day. Our show can be accessed through the YouTube channel, the We All Have Shit podcast. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the WAHS podcast channel to not miss an episode, and ring that bell to get notifications. So, thank you everybody for joining us today. I am here with an old friend, Noelle. Noelle, how are you doing today?
Great, Dave. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. So my first question initially is, Noelle, what is your shit?
Oh, God.
But we're going to take a time out just for a second with that, because this is a very special episode. This is the season premiere of season 2 of the We All Have Shit podcast. So Noelle was an impromptu guest. This is something we've discussed casually.
Yeah.
And she bravely agreed to do this in a last minute thing because my planned guest, who you'll learn about soon, had a car accident the day before. He's okay. He's all right, but he had to cancel on me, so Noelle was brave enough to do it. So I appreciate that.
No
Noelle.
problem.
Okay, so Noelle, what is your shit?
Oh, well, Dave, we all do have shit, lots of shit, right?
Yeah.
And you try to think, well, geez, what shit do I want to talk about today? Because
Yeah.
there's so much,
Yeah.
But I figured that today, being September 17th, it's my dad's birthday.
Dad's birthday.
So my
Okay.
dad, as many of you know, recently passed away. So my
Condolences.
shit would be grieving him and going through, I'm the executive of his estate and going through all of that.
Okay.
So that's my biggest heavy load of shit.
Okay, so
right
thank you
now.
for that. No, thank you for that. That's not easy to talk about.
Yeah.
And grief is something I think we could all relate to,
Yeah.
right? We've all had people in our lives pass away
Yep.
that we love.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you just mentioned that the first minute or two, I heard two things, right? With the loss of your dad, there's an emotional component to it, of course, right? Because you cared about him, you
Sure.
loved him and stuff like that. But then with being the executor of the will, there's a cognitive part to it as well, and emotion. You think about a lot of different steps and details. So those two emotional things are difficult to reconcile.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to grieve, and you're trying to, get the ball rolling with with the estate and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, you not only have your own feelings that you're dealing with, but now, of course, with, almost every estate, is not just me. There's siblings involved and family involved.
Yes.
And you know how that could take
Yeah.
a
Family.
really bad turn.
100%.
Okay?
100%.
So you're dealing with that shit.
and that's something
Yeah.
as well as grief, like we
Right.
talked about initially. Family is something everybody can relate to too, right? You have a good family,
Yep.
love your family.
Yep.
However, right?
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah.
It's challenging. So that's a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own thoughts, their own opinions,
Yeah.
and you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. This isn't how it should be done. You should do this, you shouldn't do that. And your head is spinning. And to be honest with you, I've been so busy with dealing with that.
Yeah.
That I haven't really even had time to properly grieve my dad.
Okay, so that's how I was gonna go with the discussion. So so the cognitive part, like being the executor of the will, obviously that's important, right? But so is the grieving,
Right,
the
sure.
emotional part. So
Sure.
that's sort of been neglected.
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
It's hard.
And you're trying to balance, a full-time job. You're trying, and being executive is like a really solid half-time job.
Yeah.
At least, you're running, making phone calls on the phone, going to cemeteries, trying to figure out engravings on something as silly as a tombstone, stuff like that. So I'm trying to work full time. I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a wife. I'm trying to be a mom. And then you go, well, where's there time for me, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, you just try to take each day.
Oh, yeah, you're a person yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own
right.
needs and things like
right.
that.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, how do I balance it? Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm really, really honored that you're sharing this because this is obviously it's a personal thing. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not easy to talk about.
Right.
So I appreciate it. But the fact that we're talking about this balance issue,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's not like when we have awareness and discussion about the shit that we have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Some people have life-threatening or life-affecting situations that are one thing.
Right.
However, there's a lot of people that have other things like you might say, oh, they're just dealing with this or that. But when you multiply that
mm-hmm.
by 100,
right,
and they're all hitting at the same time.
Right, they're all hitting at the same time, you know?
That is hard.
And then, the other big piece of shit that I could have talked about, but I'm dealing with, I'm honoring my dad today. I'm honoring my dad because it's his birthday, so we figure I talk about my dad.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's my health.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, that's a whole other separate podcast. But, you know, but the stress doesn't help that situation either. You know what I mean? It just brings on.
And it's like, right, so when your dad passed, right, you have stress.
First of all, it was such a shock when he died. We weren't, you know, he had been dealing with some health issues, but we thought we had things under control.
Okay, so your dad, just, and I know this personally
mm-hmm.
a little bit, but if you don't mind, so your dad was physically nearby.
Yes.
So you were like caregiver kind of involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes, very much involved.
So it's really sudden.
Yes, it was sudden. It was a sudden passing. We were not expecting it.
Wow.
So, like, you know, that in itself, a shock, was another piece. You know, shock and grief, and now the executorship, and you know, it's just all mounting, and you're just getting to become. It's a breaking point. You know what I mean? And you're trying to be pleasant. You're trying to go on with life because you have to, right? You got a million responsibilities.
Yeah.
But you know, here we are.
And you're wondering, how much more?
Yeah.
Could I take?
And when is this gonna end?
Right.
Like
I so appreciate that because so many people are in situations like that where they have so many things, and any one of them might not be this massive thing, but the totality of them is overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming, and if they go on for a long time, that's going to make it really hard.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can get rid of it real quick, but that's not the case.
Yeah, no. I mean, anyone who's dealing with this, will tell you that they're not quick. They don't go away quick, you know? And then, like I said, when you have people making things even more difficult, it just drags it on, you know? So that's my biggest shit right now.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So with that, so this is obviously something that you're walking through. You're the executive.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, your name is there. So in that regard, you're an individual.
Yeah.
However, we exist in a social context, right?
Yeah.
So you do have supports.
Oh, yes.
Things like that.
Yes, thank God. I have a really good, husband and kids and in-laws, and I have all huge, right?
Good.
So I have a really good, family.
That's good.
For the most part.
So,
I have, wonderful friends. I'm part of the Crummers. I have to give a shout out to the Crummers out there. All my Crummer friends, they've been amazing.
Noelle's, dear friends with my wife Dina that you've met in an earlier podcast, but so they have their own little peer group there, friend group, and it is. So there's supports there, and that's important.
The one and only, I'm not a crier. I don't cry a lot, but the one time I cried was with the Crummers.
Really?
Was actually. That was probably the last time I cried. Was with the Crummers, and it was actually the day we buried my dad.
Damn.
We had a gathering planned, and I was like him and Han, and I was mentally exhausted with that. But my husband said, "You know what? You need to go.
Yeah.
You need to get out, and because we've been dealing with the funeral and all this stuff. So I went, and it was good because I was able to release some pressure and get my feelings out a little bit, and it was great. So I have the Crummers; they're awesome.
Okay.
And of course faith.
Yeah.
I have my faith.
Amen.
And what helps me is I believe that my dad is in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
He's with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it's it's great for him. It
Yeah.
sucks for us.
That they say
Here.
that about death, right?
Mhm.
It's like the ones who like when people pass away, we're the ones
Yeah.
who are left that are grieving.
Yep.
The deceased, they're happy.
They're
right?
happy.
They're reunited and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But no, I mean you touch on supports, and that's so important to recognize that, and so many of us have those things. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Granted, right? But yeah, you talk about friends, you talk about family, and faith,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's got brought up more than one occasion through this podcast. And like I always say, whatever your faith is, doesn't matter. It's the fact that you have it,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
If you're a faith oriented person, you're going to be able to tap into that at
Right.
moments like this. Maybe it's more longer than just a moment, right? It takes time
Right.
sometimes, but you need that to kind of pull you through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your husband and your kids. So you have our kids are similar ages, right?
Yep.
So we have young adult kind of
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yep.
They're not children,
Yeah. Right.
and they're not full grown
Right.
mortgage adults, right?
Yeah. Right.
So they're young adults.
Right.
So you've been able to get some support from them. So I want to touch on that with you just a moment, but to divulge a little bit about me with my health situation. So I always say this is an MS centric podcast, but it's not MS only, and that's why we have guests in. So again, thank you, Noelle, for being here. But no, I was the beneficiary of a lot of support like that with it from my wife, who I sort of expected as an adult, right, when I got diagnosed.
Sure.
But my kids, who were, young adult-ish kind of thing like that, that's a lot. You know what I mean? I didn't quite know exactly how they would respond to, react to, deal with, like things like that. It's hard because from a kid's point of view, when you see an adult, right, a loved one, like a mom or a dad, dealing with something that's hard, that's a hard realization for a kid sometimes.
Yeah.
So could you talk about that a little bit from your kids?
Well, when my dad had passed, my daughter was another piece of shit. My daughter was in Australia studying abroad.
Damn.
And so, it was, do we bring her home or do we keep her there? And I'm like, it's 2 days of travel one way. And I'm like, I think Grandpa would just want you to stay where you are.
It's Australia.
It's Australia.
She's not over the state line.
She's not
in
over
New
New
York
Jersey
State.
or
Yeah,
whatever,
She's in Australia.
So she's in Australia.
Oh,
So we made the decision that Abby would stay in Australia. So, that was a little piece of this whole puzzle too.
Okay.
And then the other piece was my son, he'll be 15.
Okay.
So he never really experienced death
Okay.
of someone close. He did of an uncle he was kind of close to, but he was very young and he doesn't remember that. So, it was preparing him for what he was going to walk into to a viewing and, that kind of stuff.
And that's different. Yeah.
That's the viewing was a whole nother piece of shit to this. It went really wrong. It went very bad. It wasn't how I described it to be to him. It just, Grandpa didn't look like Grandpa. Let's just put it that way. And my son thought that Grandpa, he thought it was a mannequin laying in which was very sad.
Wow.
And so here I am at the funeral parlor trying to grieve my dad. I'm in shock because I'm like, who the hell is this in the casket? And now I have my son hysterical. So, it was a debacle. And it was really loud. And I have my, husband trying to console all of us. You know what I mean? What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? So that was hard as well. So, I'm trying to, my daughter was kind of, not distant, but it didn't hit her because she wasn't here. Physically. And in a way, I'm glad because I didn't want her to go through. And I felt so bad that my son had to go through what he went through.
He didn't have his partner,
if
you will.
Yeah, they're so close,
to go through. Sure.
Yeah, and so, he's he doesn't know what to do because he sees me upset. And now he's trying to hold it together, and I don't want him to hold it together because he needs to get it out.
15.
He's 15.
He's
Not
15.
even yet. He'll be
Not
15 in a few
even.
weeks.
Yeah.
So that was a whole other
Yeah.
piece. This whole thing has been nothing but a big shit mess.
So this big shit, and this has been going on,
Yeah.
right, for
Right.
some time. It's not like a one day
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
So it's been going on.
Yeah.
It's a process,
Yep.
right? Now him getting sick and passing away
Right.
quickly,
Right.
and the funeral, and
Right.
your daughter,
Right.
and your
Yeah.
son's reactions to it. And
My husband's been great. He's been a rock. He's
good.
been
That's
a
good.
really good support system to me and my son and my daughter. So
that's good.
So
Yeah.
it's I'm blessed to have
Okay.
my family that I have and my friends, and
That's good. That's good.
I'm
No,
very blessed in
I
many
mean,
many ways.
you talk to people about whatever they're dealing with, and like I said, most people have supports, but not everybody.
Right.
Right. So when you talk to some people and they say, well, I'm dealing with it like on my own, and I don't know how they do it.
No, right.
Or without a faith,
Right. Faith-based
orientation.
Yeah.
I don't
Sure.
understand that.
Mhm.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your son was 14 at the time.
Yep.
Okay. So childhood,
Yeah.
yeah, teenage years,
Right.
right?
Sure.
It's a developmental process,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So my background is working with kids, and I know, and as a mom, kids are all different, right?
Yeah.
How they process
Yep.
information, the level, the stage with which they enter into stuff, and everything like that. It varies wildly.
Right.
So you don't know how they're
Right.
going to react,
Right.
right? So like, as an adult, you might have an understanding or an awareness that it's okay to cry.
Right.
Or I'm grieving, so I could do blank, right? So it's something with the passage of time we
Right.
understand as adults, right? But your son, he's a kid still.
Right. He's a kid.
Okay, so
Right.
he had a little bit of a rough time there. He
Yeah.
was alone. His sister was
Right. Was not, and they're so close. Like him and his sister
Yeah.
are very close. He totally looks up to her and idolizes. He really
That's
truly
huge.
does. Yeah.
That's huge.
And she was missing.
Okay.
Through no fault of her own, of course.
Of course, of course.
Right.
Okay. So now you're in I want to use the word better. I don't know if it's
Well,
better. Are you in
A different.
Is that fair?
I'll say
Yes.
different. Sure. I'm not sure if it's better. I'm not sure.
Right. It would be silly for me to say, oh, no,
Yeah,
you're in
yeah.
a better spot. It's like,
Right,
no,
no.
why do you say that, right?
I'm just
So
in a different spot. Right?
different.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
And we're back, like the school year
Right.
has started, right?
Mhm.
Kids are in school. You're working.
Right.
So the balance is still needed,
Right.
but it's different now.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
different.
Because when my dad passed, it was in July, so we weren't here yet. The
Okay.
kid, I was working from home 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the office full time. It was just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Than it is. Just
100%. It's
Yeah.
different. It's
Yeah.
just different.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So thank you for that. Okay, so I want to shift now. Like we have these meetings, these talks about the shit that we're dealing with, and that's
Right.
life,
right.
right? But then we have to move on because life does happen.
Yep.
And we're in we said before, you just mentioned we're in a different spot.
Right.
With the academic year, Noelle and I both work on a college campus, right? So the academic year just started.
Right.
And if you're a parent, you have kids, they're back to school,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So it's a different spot now.
Right.
Okay. So because of that, there's got to be some type of coping, like stuff like that you're trying to do, that you're doing some stuff people might say, oh, you should try X, Y, and Z, and it doesn't work at all. And other stuff really does work. So could you share with us any kind of ideas, like stuff that works for you?
My coping mechanism, believe it or not, is to be around people.
Okay.
Is to talk to people. So I like to talk. So I would go one for a pie. No, but I like to express my feelings. I don't like to hold them in.
Okay.
Because I think it just makes things worse.
Okay.
So just talking about things,
Yeah.
praying
Yeah.
to God,
Yeah.
for guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to keep busy,
Mhm.
like with other things.
Sure. Sure.
Try not to think. I try not to focus 24/7
Yeah,
on what's
yeah.
happening. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do have a hard time falling asleep at night because I'm thinking. Or
Sure.
sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and it's hard to go back to sleep because you're thinking.
Sure.
About this particular pile of shit you're dealing with. right now.
Yeah.
But really, my coping mechanism is, I try to. I like to go for walks. I
Okay.
like walking. But my biggest coping mechanism, I would think, is to be around friends.
Be around friends.
Yep, and
talk
family
about
and
it.
talking
That's
about
huge.
it. That's
So you had said that when I asked about the coping thing, the first thing you said was the talking thing, and then you mentioned about staying busy. So the staying busy thing, and it's painting with a broad brush here, being very general. But when people say I want to stay busy, if they don't like to talk, that staying busy
Right.
is sort of an avoidance behavior.
yeah.
They just
I
wanna
guess you could
forget
say
about
that's my way of avoiding thinking about it.
But you're staying busy,
Right.
but you like to talk about
Right.
it. So
right.
to me, I'm hearing staying busy as a positive thing.
Yeah.
Like you want to stay appropriately busy. The stuff
Right.
that's got to get done.
Right.
You're happy to do it.
Right.
And you talk about the stuff
Right.
that's bugging you.
Right.
Right. So if you weren't willing to talk about it,
Right.
right,
That could
it'd
be a
different.
bigger problem.
It'd
right?
be different.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So
right.
the fact that you're open and willing to talk, like you, God Almighty, I said you being brave coming in here today, totally true. But this is like shows that that's totally accurate.
Right.
You just coming in here to talk about it is super.
Right.
But yeah, so staying busy with appropriate things,
Right. Yeah.
talking to people.
Yeah. I like to do yard. I love being outside.
Okay.
I love doing yard work and putzing around with the plants and the
Awesome.
flowers. And I'm glad we still have them to putz around with. We're not into winter yet.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I like doing that kind of stuff. And, my son actually drags me out on the golf course. I don't golf. I just drive the golf cart.
Okay.
But I enjoy that. I
Okay.
enjoy going out on the golf course with him because it's just quiet. It's just
Awesome.
nature.
Yeah,
it's just peace.
beautiful.
I try to turn the cell phone off. I don't have, ding, 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 And, I try, those are the ways I try
Okay.
to cope with.
That's the
What I'm
most
doing.
relaxing
Yeah.
thing is getting rid of your cell phone.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
remove
because
ourselves from
it's
technology.
constantly,
Yes,
and
yes,
it's
yes.
usually nothing that you want to read.
Yeah,
It's
honestly.
usually not right now.
It's the truth.
Your stuff that
Yeah.
pertaining to this executorship, and it's just
Yeah.
shit basically.
Yeah. You've never been an executive
No,
before?
and I don't ever recommend it. If anyone ever says, I want to make you executive, run the opposite direction. And I'll tell you, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
Like my dad's should be plain and cut and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's all
this
kinds
should
of
be
people
easy,
that
but-
have wills and there's all kinds of strings attached to it or
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
family
Right.
traumas and things like that. You're trying to balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
That's
right.
really hard. Okay.
It's more like a mental thing. It makes you mentally exhausted.
Okay.
More so
Okay.
than even physical.
Okay.
More of a
Yeah.
mental exhaustion.
Yeah, it
with
wears
this.
on you.
You know what I mean?
After a
It
while.
does. It wears on.
Okay. All right. So, God, I appreciate you talking so much. So we're about ready to close for today. See, it goes by relatively
Yeah, it goes
quick.
by fast.
Okay. So we're about ready to close, and as a guest here, as you well know, you have an opportunity to close the show out, right? Closing thought, closing thing, whatever you feel would sum up or whatever you want.
Right.
So what do you think?
So what do I think?
Yeah.
Well, I always say, try not to plan because only the big guy upstairs knows what we need and how we're gonna get it,
How about that?
when we're gonna get it.
Mm,
So I try to just leave it up to the big guy
That's
up
good.
there,
That's
and
good.
the chips will fall where and how and when they need to fall.
I like that.
And that's it.
So-
It's the big guy upstairs.
it's
He
the
has
big guy.
you don't know how many times I thought I had a plan, and
Yeah.
he just laughs
We're-
because he's the man in charge.
We're so funny as humans, right?
Yeah.
We have a plan, first this, then
Yeah.
that, and God must be able to just laugh.
laughing
it's
like sure.
come on, Yeah,
He knows what I need,
that's it.
and I have to leave it in God's hands and let the chips fall.
That's faith.
Yep.
That is faith.
That's it.
That is awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you all for spending some time with us and listening to We All Have Shit. Remember that even though we'll always have some type of shit in our lives, the best we can do is to stay positive, have faith, try our best, and help where we can. Until next time, onward.